What's up, y'all? This is Brave, and I'm back for another review of Keke Wyatt's World. This is Season 1, Episode 2, and the episode is titled Work-Life Balance. So let's jump right into the review. So we start this episode off exactly where we left off, and that was with Keke's husband telling her to shut up. And the reason why he told her to shut up was because he no longer wanted to hear, her and Andre go back and forth, because at the end of the day, her and Andre, they love each other, they care about each other. This situation has gone on far too long, and it's definitely time for them to make up. And that's exactly what happens. These two, they both express how they felt. Andre, he lets Keke know how, even though he kept reaching out to her, she wasn't responding. And then she goes on to talk about how in her personal life, things are just falling apart for her. Especially while she has all the kids at the house. Look, she's going through postpartum depression. And on top of that, she has a baby who's in and out of the hospital. So there's just a lot going on in her personal life right now. But Andre says, that's something that we're going to have to work on together. But as far as the business side of things, it looks like it's on the up. Now, y'all, I was absolutely disgusted by the fact that Keke is out here farting on camera. I said, girl, you are as bad as your kids, okay? And speaking of kids, I have no idea which name this kid has, but I just happened to notice, I'm like, wait, what's up with the whole fake tattoos that her kids are wearing? Because this is the second child that I've seen of hers within these past 2 episodes that's rocking these fake tattoos. Alright, so let's slide on over to this next scene. Keke is surrounded by the older group of kids and her husband or whatever. They try to figure out where they're going to eat tonight or whatever. And Keke, she brings up the fact that, she's working on this new album. It's going to be a mix of, her older stuff and modern R&B. So we'll see how that sounds with Keke's voice, just because, the modern sound sometimes, it doesn't really work for older acts for some reason. I don't really know what that is, because I just don't want her to sound like she's being a try-hard, you know what I mean? So little Miss Takia, she chimes in, and I said, baby, this girl, she is so vocal, considering she's still a guest, but okay, girl. Nonetheless, she goes on to tell Keke that basically she needs to make things that sound more modern, because the old people, they dying anyway. So you ain't got to worry about them. Now, here's my thing. Like I already mentioned, I don't think that people who really can sing for real, do too well with these modern beats and all of that. Because, listen, I do not want to hear Keke Wyatt on the track sounding like Sexy Red. Because I can't remember if it was the daughter or if it was the son's girlfriend that was like, I want to hear something you can chill to, vibe to, or if you want to shake something. Listen, there's never going to be a time where I want to shake something to Keke Wyatt. Absolutely not. Even the whole vibe, chill type music. I feel like because she's such a powerhouse with her vocals, I'm not exactly sure what these kids are expecting. Because she's not going to get on the track and sound like, let me think of somebody. She's not going to get on track and even sound like a Summer Walker. She's not going to get on the track and sound like a Chloe Bailey. You're not going to get that. So y'all can go ahead and let that dream go. Keke, to me, she kills traditional R&B, and that's her pocket. Now, we can absolutely update some of the beats, but she still gonna have that traditional voice. Now, Keke, she wanted her son Kimar to throw something away for her or something, but he couldn't hear her because he had his earphones on. And you can tell that this boy, he must be very reserved, very quiet, sticks to himself, right? So he has his headphones on, he can't hear anything. She ends up kind of jumping in front of his face like, hey, do you not see me? And he takes the headphones off a little bit. And Keke is like, yeah, we want you to be involved in the conversation or whatever. Don't be a loner. all this stuff. And then you have one of the other kids over here trying to crack jokes about him in his headphones. And they're all laughing. So he feels some type of way and he gets up. So Keke, she goes to find him. He is downstairs with the other little kids or whatever. And I'm just kind of like, I can't lie, in my mind, I'm like, well, at least somebody down there, because all the older people are upstairs and these kids are just doing whatever down here. But nonetheless, they have a conversation. And she's like, was it me? Is it your sisters? That have you feeling this way? He's like, it's a mixture of both. Because in his confessional, he was like, my mom, she started it. And she did because she threw something over there to him. And I feel like once she did that, the kids were being their typical selves and trying to, rag on a brother. Now, I will say this. I know that we're watching a TV show and we are only seeing a glimpse of these people's lives. And I'm pretty sure people are writing think pieces or leaving comments saying how, oh my gosh, they're bullying him and all that stuff. I just think that a lot of times when you do have big families, or even if you just have a sibling, just one, there's always this banter where someone is cracking jokes on somebody else. And half the time, is it hurtful? Absolutely. And it's because that's just what siblings do. In that moment, I honestly feel like, yes, Keke was wrong for trying to get his attention by throwing something at him when really she could have just got up, threw whatever she had that needed to be thrown out away. But when she called him a loner, she didn't have to do that. Now, like I said, as far as the kids go, I personally feel like it's normal for kids to crack jokes on each other. I do. Now, the sad part about that, though, is that sometimes they don't understand how sensitive each other are about certain topics or just in general. So, for example, this kid right here, he seems to be very sensitive overall. So, he may not, take the jokes just as jokes. They actually hurt his feelings. However, you could probably crack jokes with the older kids, for example, Keever or whatever, and he'll take it on the chin. You know what I'm saying? I just think that different kids, they handle things differently, and you have to treat them accordingly. So, as he continues to express to his mom how he feels about, the jokes and all that, she does get teary-eyed because at the end of the day, she was even feeding into cracking jokes. So in this moment, we actually learn that Kemar has a great relationship with Zachariah, okay? Which is Keke's current husband. I'm not exactly sure where on the spectrum of Keke's children, where Kemar falls as to who's the daddy. I have no idea. I don't know if it was the last husband that she had or the first one, because I'm just not sure the timeline of her life and how long she was popping out kids for which man, okay? But nonetheless, I think that it is absolutely beautiful that he has a great relationship with his current stepdad, and he even calls him dad. And considering Kemar is already, 12? It makes me wonder how long Zachariah has been with Keke. If y'all know that information, drop it in the comments. But let's go ahead and move on to the next scene, because we actually see Keke and Zachariah. They are sitting on the porch. You have the young kids playing outside or whatever. And they talk about how Kemar feels. And, how he feels with the other kids. They talk about him and how, Keke, she does play a role in this. Zachariah, he automatically off the back is like, I'll talk to him, he's going to step in. So Keke, she's like, I feel like I'm dropping the ball somewhere and I just want to make sure that I can pick it up. And I completely understand where Keke is coming from, because nobody wants it to get to the point where your child comes to you when they're an adult and they're telling you, hey mom, growing up, this is how I felt. You know what I'm saying? Because that means that you have done years of damage on that child. So, when it comes to Keke and her motherhood, I do understand that she has 11 children. And like she said, all of them have different personalities. All of them have different likes and different dislikes. It just seems like she is spread so thin, because you do still have to try to find the balance in giving each child their own attention. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is hard. And then on top of that, you have one child who is still going in and out of the hospital. You're still trying to have a career. You're trying to be a good wife. It is a lot for one person to have to handle all of that. And I know people are going to be like, well, she shouldn't have had 11 kids. Listen, the kids are here already, okay? We just got to work with what we got. Speaking of working with what we got, that is what Andre has to do. Because y'all already know he's back working with Keke. He done set up the rehearsal. Everybody's there. But guess who ain't there? Keke. Keke is running late. We already could expect that. He goes and tells the band, hey, Keke coming, but she gonna be late. She's bringing a baby. And y'all, I cannot lie. My first thought was, where is this baby going while y'all are rehearsing? Because you literally have a live band with instrumentation rehearsing right now. That is absolutely too loud for some newborn ears, okay? Nonetheless, Keke finally arrives. It's her, the baby, and Zachariah. So I guess Zachariah is going to watch, the baby while she's rehearsing. Okay, fine. So here's the problem. Again, circling back to working with what we got, y'all. Keke is hoarse. Keke's voice is acting up. We see her try to sing, and at first it was okay. However, you can absolutely tell there is something going on with her voice. She started to sound a mess. I'm like, ooh, fix it, Jesus, please. Because Keke does not usually sound like this. So she's going to need all the prayers from everybody in the room, so that way when they actually have this performance, she don't sound like this. Now, speaking of this performance, we actually see Keke back at the house, and her daughter is carrying all these clothes downstairs because she has to style her mom for her performance. Now, one thing that I have noticed as we continue to watch Keke and her family is that she does seem to try, at least, to be around the kids, to not always, be out in the studio doing this, doing that. Because honestly, you guys, how many times have we watched reality TV shows and we hardly see the kids around? Even if they are filming at the house, the kids are magically not there. But nonetheless, let's go ahead and move on. So we actually see that this is going to be the day of the event, of the performance. And Keke gets there. And y'all, I cannot lie. One thing that bothered me in that moment was the fact that she had on that fake Louis Vuitton muumuu. I said, girl, not you wearing the fake Louis V muumuu. I can't take you seriously. Like, did you get that from like a local swap meet or what? But let's get back to the, seriousness of the show. So all the kids, they pile into this one small room or whatever. We see people start to arrive and take their seats. And then we see Kissy talking to her former manager by the name of Johnny. Now, according to Kizzy, he did some shady stuff, it sounds like. However, for some reason, she's still cool with him. Keke has already told her, girl, people do not change. Don't bring that man around me. So it sounds to me like Keke has been in this industry long enough to know a snake when she see one. Alright, so let's just go ahead and talk about this performance of little Miss Kizzy, okay? Because she got up there and she performs her song My Love, which samples what's that song? Candy Rain by Soul For Real, okay? Let's start there. Another sample. Then she gets up there and starts to sing, and I'm sorry, it wasn't given. Like, I feel like maybe her voice may sound good in the studio, but as far as live, it needed some work. Also, baby girl, that song was not for this crowd. This crowd looks like they are every bit of 45 and over. They don't want to hear no, I want to get you to the bedroom, I'm trying to freak you all night. Girl, they don't want to hear that. Unless you're about to perform a song that they already know from their heyday, they don't want to hear this. But nonetheless, she does her performance. She does talk about how the transition from being a songwriter to an actual artist is very hard because most people, they are only going to see you as the songwriter. It takes a while for people to actually see you transition into being the artist. I mean, we've seen it happen with Carrie Hilson. We've seen it happen with Victoria Monet. So, I mean, there are girls who have been able to actually succeed, put an album out, but it's very hard to make that transition. Now, we get backstage, right? Because it's almost time for Keke to go on. Baby, here's what got me, y'all. Why did Keke say, who is that wearing that nightgown? I was hollering because she was talking about that man, Johnny. And I'm just like, well, girl, you came strolling in here with a moo-moo on. So, what you was talking about? But I mean, that's not your performance clothes. Nonetheless, she wants Johnny gone. She wants this man removed from the situation. I personally don't even understand why he's back there. Because I'm like, wait a minute. This is Keke's show. Kizzy. Why couldn't he just, stay on the side of the stage or in the audience? What was the point of him even coming back there? You know what I'm saying? Especially since you already know that Keke don't like this man. And it was weird to me how Kissy was over there being fake, like, oh, girl, you smell so good. You look so pretty. Blah, blah, blah. Girl, you already knew that Keke did not want that man around. Stop playing in her face. So, it is time for them to say the prayer, right? Now, before they even get to the prayer, Keke got an attitude. So she's like, yeah, let's go ahead and pray this attitude away. Now, baby, let me tell you something. That backup singer, now that's a praying woman right there, okay? I said, come on through, sis. You better pray that prayer. Now, we actually do get to see some of Keke's performance, and she killed it, okay? The vocals were on point that night. At one point, the kids, well, at least the younger ones, they came on stage, and we got to see her hold her baby boy and sing You Are My Sunshine. Honestly, it was a very beautiful moment, and I'm glad that Keke was actually able to do that. So, after the show, Keke's talking to Andre about this album that she has to record. And according to Andre, baby girl, you got 10 songs to do. For some reason, she thought it was only 8. He's like, nope, it was never 8. It was always 10. But she feels like that's adding, so much more on her plate. Andre, on the other hand, is like, girl, you can knock out the other 2 songs in your sleep. And I'm just like, I just really hope that by the end of this season, you guys, we get the album. Because you know how sometimes people, they'll do a reality show and be like, I'm working on my album. We get 3 seasons in. We ain't got to the album. Hopefully it all aligns that the album drops by the time we get to the end of the show. Nonetheless, Kizzy, she decides to invite Keke as well as Andre to her video shoot. Now, Come to find out, oh, Johnny will be there again. And Keke is like, girl, why are you keeping him around? Like, how does that make sense? He's already done you wrong previously. And once a snake is always a snake. Now, according to Kizzy, though, she's like, well, he's been getting me my money. And, we've been working together. I'm just like, girl, that's cute that you are dotting your I's and crossing your T's. But that still don't mean that man is not going to cross you a little bit later. Just saying. Keke thinks that she needs to find better management, get somebody else to do it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just like, why can't Andre manage you? What's so special about this Johnny guy? Because you don't see Keke talking about Andre, messing up her money. So why can't you be managed by him? Interesting. So let's go ahead and move on. So we get Zachariah. He was hanging out with the younger kids, and then he goes to talk to Kemar. So I loved the way Zachariah approached the situation, because he even started out by setting the tone of, this is my position in the family. My job is to take care of y'all, love y'all, and make sure that y'all are good and that the family is okay. So, of course, Kemar, he just is such a sweet, calm, quiet boy. He doesn't really want to have this conversation. Okay? However, he does let us know that he does not have the best relationship with his own father, but he does look at Zachariah as a dad because he's the one who has been there for him. So we actually see Keke in her confessional, and the producer asked her, like, oh, what's Kemar's relationship with his dad? And I love the way that Keke, she approached this situation. Like, no, I'm not just going to sit up here, bash this man. I'm not going to try to put my child's situation on Front Street. Let me call my child in here. She calls Kemar in, asks him if it's okay for her to, talk about it. He says, yeah. Then she goes on to allow him to express himself as far as to what he thinks the relationship is with his dad. And it sounds like his dad just may, throw him a couple of dollars, throw him a few gifts throughout the year, and that's pretty much the relationship. Like, there's no quality time, there's no hanging out, there's no, nothing else, unfortunately. So let's just go ahead and jump back onto the conversation between Zachariah and Kemar. All right, so Kemar, he's like, I don't want to bring this up or whatever, but Zachariah is like, no, I need for you to let me know when there are things going on with you, okay? If the other kids are bullying you, that's a problem, and we are going to definitely take the necessary steps so that all of that is stopped. I'm telling y'all, the way that Zachariah was talking to Kemar, I'm like, okay, no, this man, he actually loves these kids. You cannot tell me that he was putting on for the cameras and all of that. No. I really feel like he has stepped up and he has been a good man to those kids as well as Keke. Because the way that he was just speaking to Kemar, like, no, I got your back, okay? These kids, even though they are your siblings, they cannot come at you sideways. And I appreciate that a lot. Because a lot of times in families, brothers and sisters, they, rag on each other. And sometimes they can take the heat. Sometimes they can go back and forth. But you may have a kid who's more introverted and quiet. Like Kemar, he may be a little bit more sensitive. You can't do that with them. You know what I'm saying? Like, this whole situation with Kemar is probably my favorite so far that I've seen. Just because we actually saw a problem. We saw where the parents took accountability as well as they found a solution. You know what I'm saying? Nonetheless, let's go ahead and get to this last scene because unfortunately this was very sad. Keke's son, Keziah, he had a medical emergency and unfortunately her son stopped breathing for 13 minutes. I cannot even imagine what that could have felt like. Wow. That is very scary. And I really do hope that Keziah's health is a lot better now. now that he's a bit older. I hope that, he's not going in and out of the hospital as much now. She also goes on to say how, when she was pregnant with him, the specialist told her that if she gave birth to Keziah, that he wouldn't have, like a healthy, good life. But her faith in God told her otherwise. So now she feels like less of a mom. She's hurt that her baby has so much that he's going through. I think it makes her question, why did I even bring this baby into the world? Like, it's just a lot. And I feel like, again, this is another added layer of things that are weighing heavy on Keke. So, again, what I want to see on this show, I'm not sure if we're going to get it on this season or if she's ever going to do it, but I would love to see Keke in therapy, as well as, maybe join a mom support group, just something. So that way she can really express herself, talk about her feelings, you know what I'm saying? Just so she can really get that out and maybe have other women around her who can relate to her. You know what I'm saying? But that was pretty much the episode, y'all. I'm actually enjoying this show. Like, considering it was on WeTV and we just finished watching Toya and Reginae, like, I'm actually enjoying Keke's show a little bit more just because I feel like her story is really real. No offense to the other ladies, but I just feel like this is really Keke's life. But y'all, let me know what y'all thought about this episode. Go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, and I will talk to y'all in my next review. Bye, guys.